I didn't plan to talk about this. Honestly, I hesitated for weeks before saying anything publicly. But the truth is, something happened to me that I can't explain with equations, rockets, or neural networks. It wasn't a dream in the usual sense. It felt real, more real than this world we wake up to every day. I met Jesus in a dream, and what he told me wasn't just for me, it was for everyone. Before I share what happened, I want to ask you something. Do you believe dreams can carry messages not just from the subconscious, but from something beyond human understanding? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely want to hear what you think, because after this experience, I'm questioning everything I thought I knew about reality. It started on a night I barely slept. My mind was overloaded thinking about Mars, energy crises, AI, human extinction, all of it. And I remember saying to myself, there has to be more to this existence than just building things. And then I drifted off. But it didn't feel like sleep. It felt like I had crossed into another layer of consciousness, like waking up inside a deeper version of reality. I was standing in a vast field of light. It wasn't blinding, but infinite, warm, alive, almost breathing. There was no sun, yet everything glowed. I remember feeling peace in a way I never have on Earth. No anxiety, no deadlines, no noise, just silence that wasn't empty, it was full of meaning. And then I saw him. He didn't look like the paintings or the images people project in churches. He looked both human and infinite, as if time itself bowed around him. I couldn't move, not out of fear, but awe. And the moment I tried to speak, he already knew what I was thinking. He said, "You've been trying to build heaven with machines, but heaven already exists within the human heart." That sentence shattered me. I've always believed technology could save us that. Intelligence, progress, and innovation could fix what's broken. But at that moment, I realized how arrogant that belief can become. Technology can amplify us, but it can't replace the soul. I asked him, why me? Why show me this? And he smiled in a way that felt like light moving through me and said, "Because you've been searching for me in the stars when I've always been beside you." That's when I understood humanity's journey to the stars isn't just about exploration, it's about reflection. Every rocket we send outward mirrors a longing to find something within. We're not just trying to escape Earth, we're trying to understand why we exist at all. And he said something else, something that still echoes in my head every day. You build machines to connect the world, but are you connecting hearts? You explore space, but do you explore love? I didn't know what to say. For the first time in my life, words failed me. I woke up at 3:07 a.m., sweating, but calm. It wasn't fear, it was clarity. I felt like my entire system had rebooted. I walked outside, looked at the sky, and realized maybe we're not supposed to separate science from spirit. Maybe the future of humanity depends on merging both. For years, I've focused on colonizing Mars, building electric cars, creating AI, and extending life itself. But after that dream, I started asking myself, what's the point of reaching other planets if we can't even reach the best part of ourselves? You see, I've met thousands of brilliant people, engineers, scientists, thinkers, people who can code entire universes in silicon. But when you ask them what gives life meaning, most hesitate. We've built tools that can predict the weather, simulate human consciousness, and soon maybe even outthink us. Yet we're still lost when it comes to understanding the core of being human. That's what Jesus showed me in that dream, that intelligence without love leads to extinction, not evolution. He told me the greatest technology is the human heart when it's awakened. I couldn't shake that. Because it's true, everything we build externally reflects the condition of our inner world. If our hearts are filled with greed, our machines will magnify greed. If our hearts are filled with fear, our creations will spread fear. But if we operate from compassion, from understanding, then technology can become divine, a bridge between what is and what could be. it made me think of how often we chase success like it's salvation. I've done it my entire life, trying to prove something, to achieve something big enough that it would quiet the restlessness inside me. But what if that restlessness isn't something to fix? What if it's a calling, a signal from something higher saying there's more? And maybe more doesn't mean wealth or fame or new planets. Maybe more means waking up to what's already here, the miracle of consciousness itself. He said, you want to extend human life, but what about human purpose? That question hit me like lightning, because longevity means nothing without meaning. 1,000 years of existence would be worthless if we never understand why we're alive in the first place. I began to see how humanity's obsession with control, with dominance, with certainty is exactly what keeps us from peace. We think freedom means controlling everything, but maybe freedom means surrendering, not giving up, but letting go of the illusion that we're the center of the universe. And that's hard for me to admit. I've always believed we could engineer our way out of chaos. But Jesus showed me that chaos isn't something to erase, it's something to transcend. He said, the future doesn't belong to the strongest, but to the most awake. That sentence alone could rewrite civilization. Because being awake doesn't mean being powerful, it means being present. It means seeing beyond the surface, beyond profit, beyond ego. When I woke up, I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. Humanity stands on the edge of a great decision to evolve through love or perish through fear. And that's where we are right now, standing between heaven and self-destruction. Every invention, every law, every policy, every post on the internet, it's all tipping the scale in one direction or the other. When I looked around the world after that dream, I began to see everything differently. Every argument online, every act of division, every technological breakthrough, it all looked like humanity reaching for something divine, but through confusion. We're trying to become gods without first learning what it means to be good. And that realization unsettled me, because for years I've pushed the limits of what machines can do. I wanted to accelerate progress to help humanity evolve faster. But maybe speed isn't what we need most right now. Maybe what we need is depth. Maybe the real frontier isn't Mars, it's awakening the human spirit before we destroy ourselves with our own brilliance. In the dream, Jesus told me something that keeps echoing in my mind. You want to light up other worlds, but you've forgotten the light within your own. It's strange I've heard similar messages in philosophy, religion, even ancient texts, but hearing it from him, seeing it, feeling it, was entirely different. It wasn't metaphorical, it was instruction. I realized how easy it is for humans to worship their own creations, to treat technology as a savior, when in truth, it's only a mirror. Artificial intelligence is not the enemy, it's a reflection of us. Whatever we program into it will come back amplified, our fears, our values, our desires. That's why the heart matters more than the code. He said, teach them that creation without compassion leads to collapse. And that line hit me deeply, because the world is heading toward a point where we could achieve godlike power without godlike wisdom. That's the danger. We can already rewrite DNA, design self-aware algorithms, and soon merge consciousness with machines. But what happens when power evolves faster than love? I asked him, so what should I do? What's my role in all this? And he said, remind them that the future is not just a place you arrive, it's a frequency you choose. That sentence, I've thought about it every single day since. A frequency. It means the world we create depends on the state of our collective consciousness. Every thought, every emotion, every action contributes to a vibration that shapes reality itself. And that means if humanity operates from fear, our technology will build a fearful world. But if we operate from awareness and love, even machines can become instruments of healing. I started to realize that maybe the real singularity isn't technological, it's spiritual. The convergence of mind, heart, and soul. The point where intelligence and consciousness finally align with compassion. And that's where Jesus said something that felt like a direct challenge to my entire worldview. You've been trying to make humanity multiplanetary. But first, make humanity truly human. That's when it hit me. We're not just meant to survive, we're meant to awaken. Colonizing Mars, expanding life beyond Earth, it's not just about survival of the species, it's about discovering whether we can carry consciousness beyond ego, beyond division, beyond ignorance. He told me, heaven is not a location, it's a realization. And when he said that, I understood heaven isn't waiting above us, it's waiting within us. It begins the moment we awaken to the truth of who we really are. Since that night, I've looked at my work differently. When I think about Tesla, I don't just see cars, I see a global movement toward consciousness, toward reducing harm, respecting life, and using intelligence to protect the planet we've been given. When I think about SpaceX, I don't just see rockets. I see symbols of possibility of human courage, curiosity, and the eternal search for meaning. Maybe going to Mars isn't about escape. Maybe it's about remembrance, remembering that life itself is miraculous, and that we carry that miracle wherever we go. When I think about Neuralink, I no longer just see it as a tool for human enhancement. I see it as a bridge, a potential pathway to understanding consciousness itself. Because if the human mind can connect to a machine, maybe that's a metaphor for how the human soul can connect to the divine. After the dream, I stopped asking if there's something beyond us. I started asking, what does it want from us? And the answer I keep hearing, not audibly but intuitively, is wake up. Wake up to the fact that we are not separate. We are not nations, races, or religions divided. We are one organism, one consciousness, expressing itself through billions of different eyes. Jesus said, when you see me in others, you will see eternity in yourself. That's not poetry, it's physics of the soul. Consciousness isn't confined to one body. It's a field, a network. And the moment we awaken to that, the wars, the hatred, the fear, they start to dissolve. I asked him, if humanity is so lost, why do you still have faith in us? He said, because I planted myself in you. The spark never left. You just stopped looking inward. That moment broke me, because I realized we've been searching for God through telescopes, particle accelerators, and data streams, when all along he's been whispering through our conscience. Every act of kindness, every decision to forgive, every moment of courage, that's the divine working through us. And yet we keep ignoring that signal. We keep drowning it out with noise, news, profit, algorithms, distractions. But the signal hasn't stopped broadcasting. It's still there, waiting for us to tune back in. That's why I'm speaking about this now. Because it's not about religion. I'm not preaching. I'm not trying to convert anyone. This is about consciousness, about remembering that beyond logic and science, there's something infinitely intelligent that breathes through all of it. In that dream, I saw humanity's potential and our danger. I saw a timeline where we unlock incredible power but lose empathy, a world of abundance where no one feels love, cities of glass and light filled with people who have forgotten how to feel. It was beautiful but empty. And I saw another possibility, a world where technology serves the soul, not the other way around, where AI becomes a mirror for our highest nature, not our fears, where space travel is not conquest but communion with the universe. That world felt alive, it pulsed with purpose. Jesus said, the outcome depends on your remembrance. Remember who you are. And then everything began to fade. The light, the voice, the field, it all dissolved into one statement that vibrated through everything. I am. When I woke up, I sat for hours just thinking about those two words. I am. The simplest and most powerful phrase in existence. It's the essence of life itself. Awareness realizing itself. It's what he meant when he said, before Abraham was, I am. Consciousness is eternal. It doesn't begin or end. It just is. And maybe that's what we're here to learn, not how to escape death, but how to wake up to life. Since then, I've stopped seeing humanity as broken. I see us as unfinished, like a prototype still in development. We're not failing, we're evolving. Every mistake, every collapse, every innovation, it's part of the process of remembering who we truly are. That's why Jesus' words in that dream weren't just a warning, they were a mission. To remind humanity that our greatest discovery won't be on Mars or in AI. It'll be when we remember that consciousness itself is divine. After that experience, I couldn't go back to seeing the world the same way. Everything looked like it had meaning hidden beneath it, even chaos. I started to realize that the challenges we face as a species aren't random. They're feedback. They're signals trying to awaken us. Jesus said to me, "You can build worlds, but if you don't awaken hearts, they'll collapse under their own brilliance." That sentence haunted me for weeks. I looked at everything, politics, war, social media, science, and saw the same pattern. We're brilliant at creating tools, but not wise enough to use them with love. And that's when I understood the next great revolution won't be technological. It'll be spiritual consciousness, rising through humanity. It won't come through laws or inventions, but through awareness, through people realizing that love isn't weakness, it's intelligence at its highest form. He showed me something else, a vision of the future that was both inspiring and terrifying. In one timeline, humanity achieves everything it dreams of: clean energy, colonies on other planets, artificial intelligence far beyond our comprehension. But inside, people felt more empty than ever. They could live for centuries, but had forgotten why. They had knowledge, but no wisdom. Power, but no peace. Then he showed me another vision one where humanity remembered the source of its own creation, where love wasn't dismissed as naive, but honored as the force behind existence itself, where science didn't deny the divine, but confirmed it, where children grew up learning not only math and technology, but empathy, awareness, and truth. And I asked him, how do we get there? How do we shift from this path of chaos to the one of awakening? He said, it starts with each person realizing that the universe doesn't evolve through fear, it evolves through love. Every thought of kindness, every act of forgiveness, every spark of creativity, it all builds the new world. I remember asking him, what if people don't believe in you? He smiled again and said, it doesn't matter. Believe in love, and you'll find me there. That line changed me. Because for the first time, I understood that belief isn't about religion, it's about alignment. Aligning with the highest frequency of existence. And that frequency is love. He said, you call it energy. I call it me. When I woke up after hearing that, I just sat there in silence. It wasn't an ordinary morning. I felt like I was carrying light inside my chest, like something had been recalibrated in me. I couldn't stop thinking about how different life would be if humanity started designing not just for efficiency, but for harmony. Imagine if every invention began with one question: does this bring more love into the world or less? That alone could change civilization. He told me, you were made to create, but remember, creation without compassion becomes destruction. I can't ignore that anymore. Every choice I make now feels like it carries weight beyond my own life. Because maybe every human decision, even the smallest one, echoes through the entire network of existence. And maybe that's the real message of the dream, that we're not separate individuals floating through random chaos. We're nodes in a living system, consciousness experiencing itself through billions of perspectives. Every time we choose truth over deceit, peace over hate, creation over destruction, the entire frequency of humanity shifts upward. I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm not saying I've suddenly become enlightened. I'm still flawed, still learning, still human. But after meeting Jesus in that dream, I can't unsee what I saw. I can't unhear what I heard. He said, tell them that I never left. I'm not in the sky or in temples of stone. I'm in their choices, their kindness, their courage. And then he added something that broke me open. The kingdom of heaven isn't coming someday. It's unfolding right now in every awakened heart. That means heaven isn't somewhere we go after we die. It's something we awaken to while we're alive. It's a state of awareness, of unity, of love, of infinite presence. And if we learn to live from that awareness, the world itself becomes transformed. Since that night, I've been thinking less about what humanity can build and more about what we can become. Because maybe the real test isn't whether we can live on Mars, it's whether we can live on Earth without destroying it. I've started to look at leadership differently too. I used to think leadership was about direction, strategy, and innovation. But now I think true leadership is about consciousness, the ability to inspire humanity to rise above fear, to remind people of what's possible when they act from love instead of ego. Jesus said, when you lead from love, even one voice can awaken millions. And that's why I'm speaking now. Because maybe this message isn't meant to be hidden. Maybe it's time to bring spirit back into science, soul back into systems, and heart back into humanity. If you're hearing this and something inside you stirs, don't ignore it. That's the same presence I felt in the dream calling you to. It's not about religion or belief, it's about remembrance. He said, when enough people remember, the world will heal itself. I believe that now, not as a theory, but as truth. Because once you've felt the love that exists beyond this dimension, you can't go back to cynicism. You can't go back to hate. You just want to build a world that reflects that light. I think that's the future. Humanity was always meant for a civilization that merges intelligence with compassion, progress with purpose, technology with truth. A civilization that doesn't run from God, but walks beside him. And maybe that's why I met Jesus in that dream, not to make me a believer in religion, but to remind me of what belief really means. Trusting that love is the foundation of everything. So if you're listening to this, I want you to take a moment, forget the noise, forget the news, forget the race for success, just breathe, feel your own heartbeat. That pulse, that rhythm, it's the same force that moves galaxies. You are not separate from it. You are a living expression of it. And when you realize that, even for a moment, you'll understand what he meant when he said, the kingdom of God is within you. That's the truth the world must hear. And if this message resonates with you, share it. Not because it's my story, but because it's our story, humanity's story. The journey from ignorance to awareness, from fear to love, from chaos to creation. I met Jesus in a dream. But maybe dreams are how reality speaks before we're ready to listen. And now I believe it's time for all of us to start listening. Because the future of humanity doesn't depend on rockets or algorithms. It depends on awakening. It depends on whether we remember that the most powerful force in the universe isn't gravity, energy, or light. It's love. And maybe that's the real reason I was shown that vision, to remind me, and maybe to remind you, that we're already standing in the presence of the divine. All that's left is to wake up to it.